I thought I'd take some time to talk about this rather special motorbike, and it might not look very special to most people. In fact, it looks like a sort of knocked together kids field bike, and that is exactly what it is and what it was. And this is the bike that started everything for me, because I could say that this is like the bike that I used to have as a field bike in 1976, but that wouldn't be entirely true, because what is actually true is this is the bike that I had as a field bike in 1976, and it was my first ever motorbike, and I bought it for £20. It's a 1956, or it was a 1956 D3 Bantam Major, which it got converted to 175cc, not very successfully by me, a couple of years after I bought it, and I sold it on to some other kids at school who thought that they could get it going. They couldn't, because what I'd done wrong in my Frankenstein attempt to make a decent 175 engine out of a tired 150 and a tired 175 involved splitting the flywheels of the crankshafts and putting I think I had to use one of the 150 flywheels because a main shaft on the 175 was broken, and I didn't fully understand the importance of truing crank assemblies. And when I put the crank into the cases and tried turning it before I put any screws in, the crankcases wiggled and twisted against each other a little. I thought, that won't be a problem, once I get a few screws in they'll stop doing that, and they did, but the engine went pretty tight, and although I could actually turn it over and get it to sort of bang and cough, it would never fire properly because the points cam end of one of the main shafts was all skew-if as a result of the flywheels not being true, so it never ran. These other lads bought it, they couldn't get it going either, and I happened to bump into one of them in a pub a few years after we'd left school, and he told me that if I wanted my old bike, he knew where it was and to go and get it, because the people had moved out the house and it was leaned against the wall outside ready to go be picked up and taken to the dump. So I went down there and I got the remains of it and I pushed them, because I didn't drive a van or anything then, I pushed it all 9 miles back home to where I lived, and there was a lot of uphill work there. On average it was uphill all the way actually from Llandudno to where I lived, but I got it home and it was in such a state that it really didn't appear to be worth doing anything with. Even the swing arm had got mangled and chewed somehow, as well as the forks, and of course we still had that problem with the engine. The frame was twisted and bent and even cracked, but I thought, well, you know what, I've got what's left of my first bike and I'll just keep that, and at least I've got the memories. So I had the frame, the tank, an engine which I'd messed up years before, and a rather rare and hard to find swing arm that was mangled and twisted, and someone had tried welding the wheel into it, I think. So it languished like that for probably the best part of 25 or 30 years, and then a chap in the next village to where I live now mentioned to me one night in his pub, because he owns the pub I go to, and he said he had a rusty old Bantam in the shed, seized up and in a hell of a state, but if I wanted it I could have it. Well, it turned out it had these heavyweight Bantam forks on it for a start off, which I overhauled, so I instantly had a front end for the bike. There was enough of the engine that between it and the engine that I'd so badly butchered and Frankensteined years ago, I was able to build a good engine. And I thought, all I need now is a swing arm, and actually started modifying a Triumph Tiger Cub swing arm, which I was pretty sure was going to do the job and going to fit. But would you believe, before I even finished doing anything irreversible to a Tiger Cub swing arm, the swing arm you see on this machine appeared on eBay with a buy it now price of £20. So I bought it. That spurred me on to buy a rim and spokes for the rear hub, the rear wheel, and build that up. We got a nice flangeless alloy rim and stainless spokes on that. The front wheel came ready rebuilt with a steel chrome rim on it among some Tiger Cub bits I bought, so that went on there. And before too long, with a bit of input from my brother who welded up this rather sort of snaky exhaust that crosses over from one side to the other. We ended up with the bike, and I gave it to my son, and he's kindly let me get it out of the shed and dust it down. And today what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it up, wheel it up to the village, and we're going to go for a ride up and down the Roman road on it, and I'm going to relive some memories, because I was just short of 12 years old, just shy of 12 years old when I bought this. It was summer of 1976, and I earned 40 pence an hour driving a tractor for a neighbouring farmer, mowing thistles on his farmland. And the tractor I drove was an International B250, which had double wheels, dual wheels on the rear of it, because it worked on some quite steep slopes actually. And anyway, I earned my 40 pence an hour and got pocket money and various other money, and managed to buy this, which had been owned by a school friend's older brother who'd crashed it and written it off. And he actually punted it over a wall up the A482 where we go from the village up towards where I turn off for Bantam Hill. There's those S-bends through the bridges, and he went over the wall of one of those, and bike and rider landed in the river. And apparently it was a big burly policeman that managed to haul him out of there. So that was the end of this bike's road going career, and that's when it became a field bike, which I bought off another guy who'd started to convert it to field bike from the guy who crashed it. So here we have what is now the 175cc 1956 D3 Bantam Major, and so this is the one that started it all. This is where my interest in motorbikes came from, and as well as this one, obviously soon after it I bought the D7 175, which donated engine parts to the now fully functional 175 engine, and I also bought a plunger framed D3 Bantam for spares as well. So I basically had 3 Bantams, but only this was the working one. And after that, the next bike I bought was my 16-inch wheeled Triumph Tiger Cub, which you've seen me going out on from time to time, and I went out on it quite recently, and I've still got that one as well. So this is where it all started for me, and like I say, I'm going to get ready now and take it up the Roman road, and we'll get some video footage of me riding this bike, the very one that I rode in 1976. And when I do that video, I'm going to make the thumbnail picture for it will be a picture of me on this bike in 1976. So this started everything, including performance classics indirectly, all those years ago. Probably, what, not far off, it's over 40 years ago now, I guess. I can't do my mental arithmetic too quickly, but it was a very long time ago anyway, and I think we're closer to 50 years. Scary, isn't it? Anyway, enough of my jabbering on. Have a quick look at the bike. We've got the nice old D-shaped speedometer on it. We've got the heavyweight B175 type forks on it, which it didn't have when I owned it originally. It had the upside down forks like the D3s and D5s had, but by and large it's very similar, and the crankcases have got the same engine number on because they are the same crankcases as the engine that I did the botch job of originally turning into a 175. So we've got a lot of history here, and we're going to go for a ride on it soon.